I wanted to share how lovely it's been in recent weeks to get out and start sharing content on a weekly basis again. I think when you're a creative person, you go through these periods where you get called to do other things, or where you need to take a little bit of a break from something that you love in order to keep that passion going. And that's kind of how I felt with YouTube this year, basically. At the start of the year, I was quite into it, and then I just kind of lost it for a while. My enthusiasm for it was beginning to dwindle because I was being really called to write the book, From Shooting to Creating, How Changing Your Language Can Transform Your Photography. But now that that book has been created and it's out there, it's like this passion has come back again to get out and film videos and physically do photography again. And I think with it being the autumn as well, it really helps to bring that enthusiasm to head out, because of course there's so many things to discover at this time of year. It's such a beautiful season.
Autumn certainly is a beautiful time of year, and with the crisp air arriving here in Scotland, the woodlands are alive with an abundance of fungi once more. Fungi play an important role in the health of the woodlands, decomposing organic matter and recycling nutrients back into the soil. It just so happens that they make for fantastic photographic subjects too. As I walked through the woodland, this brown mushroom caught my attention. Almost untouched, I couldn't pass the opportunity to photograph him. I first decided to create photographs exactly how I'd found the scene, with the twisting grasses dancing around the mushroom. To emphasise the beauty of the mushroom, I next considered how to remove the grass from the scene gently without causing any harm.
So as you can see here, there's quite a lot of grass in front of the mushroom. Now, I personally don't believe in pulling the grass out because, of course, I want to treat nature with respect. So what I'm going to do is just gently, very gently brush this grass, slightly fold it, not enough that it breaks or creases, but just slightly fold it over, enough that it stays. And if it doesn't stay, I can also get a stick or something to place over it very lightly. The same here. That one I know is not going to stay. So we get a stick. That one's not going to work. We find something that will hold it down. And we now have this area here cleared. And doing this will enable me to photograph this mushroom without the grass being in front of it.
Temporarily removing the grass certainly made for a clearer view of the fungi. However, while the twigs were great weights for the grass, they also got in the way a bit. As I contemplated the best angle to photograph him, I decided to change tack and do some macro photography.
I love the up-close images because you really see the tiny intricate details that make up fungi. It's just mind-blowing. But of course, when you're doing macro photography, you've got this subject which is shaped circularly. Focusing can be a really big issue, but I really like having shallow depth of field type images.
I often get asked how I do macro photography without focus stacking. I find the best way is to find an aspect of the subject that I like and focus on that area rather than the subject as a whole. In this case, it was the rim of the mushroom. By including the small break in the membrane, there was a point of interest in the images too. Now that macro had been explored, it was time to return to attempting to photograph the mushroom in its surroundings.
What I'm doing, because we've got this beautiful light right now, this lovely late afternoon autumnal light, casting this beautiful contrast on this stump of wood here with the fungi growing out of it. To me, it's really speaking to me because that contrast is there. And actually, the light just now is really bringing out beautiful shades of brown on the fungi as well, which is so lovely to witness. So actually getting further away And using my macro lens, but as a prime lens, I'm able to create some quite nice images of this.
Stepping back for a while and focusing on something else enabled me to shift my mindset and begin to see the twigs as opportunities rather than hindrances. After all, the mushroom was growing out of wood, so the twigs didn't look out of place after all. This is the reality of the woodland. Each twig, pine needle and blade of grass is part of the web that makes this environment so abundant with life. When we flow with this and work in unison with what nature presents us, the magic begins to happen. When creating photographs, we can control some things, like gently bending the grass to allow for a clearer view, or moving the twigs to one side. But what if we viewed this differently, and saw each piece of the scene as an important part of the photographic puzzle, by embracing what we are presented with, including any perceived imperfections? By seeing these images together, we can see that there are many ways to photograph a mushroom, and the longer we stay and connect with a subject, the more opportunities it will present to us.
And now that I've finished creating my images of this beautiful mushroom, it's time to remove the sticks that I used to hold down these pieces of grass. And as you'll see, they'll just pop straight back up with no damage, leaving nature untouched, exactly as I found it. Look at these little guys, especially this one here. So sweet. Now this one, of course, is going to be much more challenging to gently bend down these pieces of grass. And we also have this heather surrounding it as well, but I actually like that. It shows the interaction between the fungi and the other organisms that are inhabiting this environment. Some people may wonder why I'm being so cautious, especially with regards to grass. The way I see the world, and especially when it comes to nature, is that all of these organisms here are alive and they're all playing a part in the ecosystem. So if I come along and I pull the grass out, I've destroyed an aspect of the ecosystem, and especially somewhere like this, which is not somebody's manicured garden. This is a wild, wooded area, you know, where everything here is needed as part of the ecosystem so it can thrive. You know, everything around this fungi here, from the grasses to the heather to all of the decaying leaves, is all playing a function in the fungi's role to be able to thrive here. And then that fungi supports all the trees that are also surrounding me as well. So even something like a blade of grass, an environment like this, I do not want to harm that grass, to pull it out, to destroy it. I just want to very gently bend it down, just so that I can get a slightly better view of this fungi to photograph it.
This fungi is the common fly agaric, which always makes for fun photographs. These mushrooms' enticing red exterior can't help but draw us in, but despite their alluring presence, fly agaric is considered toxic and hallucinogenic, but arguably this adds to their magical presence. Once again, the more time I spent with him, the more I saw, leading to an array of images that brought much joy. Thank you for joining me for this week's adventure. I hope this video has inspired you and given you some food for thought. If you have a woodland near you, why not head out this week and see what fungi you can photograph? You may be surprised by what you discover. If you'd like to uncover the power that words can have over your photography, my first book, From Shooting to Creating, is now available to purchase as both a paperback book and ebook. You can order and download your copy now at photographicconnections.com to begin your journey. May you have a blessed and creative week.